Dealing with debt in difficult times. Materials provided by Genesis Financial Management. The reality. Financial trouble can happen to anyone. Bad things do happen to good people. However, many people's financial difficulties are the result of the decisions and the choices that they make. Learn to recognize the signs of financial trouble so you can get help before it gets out of control. Red flags of credit trouble. If you're using cash advances to pay for everyday expenses or to pay other credit cards. If you're spending more than 20% of your income on debt payments. If you're paying bills late. If you're unable to make more than the minimum payments on your debts. If you're getting turned down for new credit. If you're consolidating loans without closing the original accounts. If you're pushing your credit limits. If you're not tracking your spending properly. If you're needing to open new accounts because you've maxed out the old ones. If you're using credit to buy things you used to pay for with cash. And if you're getting calls from bill collectors. When you fall behind, you have to recognize that you have more debts than you can afford to repay. You have to prepare a workable plan to repay what you owe. You cannot ignore your debts and hope that they go away. They don't, and it only makes matters worse. The golden rule of dealing with credit problems is contact your creditors when you first realize that you're going to be late with a payment so you can explain the situation and work out a realistic repayment plan. Also, call the creditor before your payment is late. Try to work out an extended plan that reduces interest and waives late fees so your payments are more manageable. If you've paid on time in the past, they'll probably work with you. If you've been late in the past, don't expect much sympathy from them. Don't wait until your account is turned over to collectors. It'll be much easier to deal with the original creditor. Look in the mirror. What should you do when you fall behind? Well, recognize that you do have a problem. Realize that it's not going away. Take effective steps to fix it. Recognize that you are not alone in this. Acknowledge that doing nothing will not help matters. It may make them worse. Prioritize your debt. Your essential debt, like rent or mortgage, utilities, secured debts, child support, auto insurance, medical insurance, non-essential debt, things like unsecured debts, legal bills, medical bills. No one is saying that you don't have to pay these bills, just that the essential bills always come first. Can you increase your income? Can you adjust your tax withholding on Form W-4? Be a two-income household or work overtime or a sideline job? Can you increase your child support or your alimony? Can you get government assistance like food stamps or Social Security income, other public benefits? Can you sell your assets? Can you upgrade your employment skills or go on job training programs? Can you charge an adult child room and board? Are you using your tax benefits, such as your earned income credit tax? Make sure to request money loaned to others. Develop a barter network, carpooling, childcare, etc. Try to decrease your expenses. Consolidate your phone plan. Use only no annual fee or low interest credit cards. Consider less expensive housing. Install energy saving devices or insulation. Lower setting on your water heater. Shop at consignment and thrift stores. Brown bag lunches and snacks. Avoid vending machines. Bring food from home. Consider shopping around for a better price on insurance, cable, bank services, etc. Can't pay versus won't pay. When you have too many bills and not enough money, you have to make some choices. Reducing your living expenses to increase the amount of money available to pay what you owe. Money that's left over after paying essential bills need to go to reducing outstanding debt, not towards non-essential expenses. How can you afford to pay for more bills? Well, don't eat out when you can't afford to pay other bills. Forgo an expensive car for one that costs you less per month. Do without the new clothes until the bills are paid. Don't buy that six-pack of beer if you can't pay the doctor bills. Consequences. When you do not pay your bills, there will be consequences. You can lose your car, house, or whatever property you pledged as collateral. You could have your bank account emptied. You could lose a portion of your wages. You could have your utilities cut off. Vehicle repossession. Most states allow the creditor to repossess a vehicle with no notice if you are in a default of the loan. Once repossessed, the car can be kept or resold as compensation for what you owe. You still owe the difference between what you owed and the sales price plus legal fees and collection costs. Contact your creditor when you first realize you will be late. Try to negotiate a modification of your contract. If you can't negotiate, try to sell the car and use the money to pay off the loan. If you can't sell the car, turn the car in voluntarily to help reduce the repossession expense. You are still responsible for any balance left after the sale. Foreclosure. You can lose your house if you don't make the mortgage payments. If you just need a month or two to get back on your feet, a lender may work out a repayment schedule. Sell the property on your own if necessary. If you can't sell it, sign it back to the lender. You will avoid some foreclosure fees. Some options for struggling homeowners. Refinancing, loan modifications. That means a modification on your repayment plan, interest rate reduction, deferring missed payments, or loan restructuring. You can also do a short sale. It's more common in depressed markets. It may still negatively impact your credit, and you also may have some tax consequences as a result. Places to get help. You can call the HUD Housing Counselors at 800-469-4287. You can go onto their website at www.hud.gov. You can also call the Hope Now Alliance at 888-995-HOPE. You can try and work something out directly with your lender. And you can also reach out to local nonprofits to see if they have any additional resources for you. Eviction. Landlords have to show an adequate legal reason to evict somebody. Non-repayment of rent is a reason for eviction. If you cannot pay your rent, let your landlord know as soon as possible so you can try to work something out which will allow you to stay in your place. Where can you get help? You can call 211. You can call a local nonprofit or a neighborhood service center, a family support and resource center, and sometimes churches will offer you some assistance in that area. Collecting on security. If you pledged furniture, appliances, electronics, or other property for collateral and you don't make your payments, the finance company may repossess your property. The creditor can resell the item and you will still owe any remaining balance. Judgments. If you don't pay your bills, you may wind up in court. A judge can issue a judgment against you, a court order that says you owe money to a specific person or business. The sheriff can collect what you owe by seizing property you own. The money can be withheld from your paycheck. It's also called garnishment. Your property can be taken and sold at auction. Creditors can offset tax refunds. If you ignore the lawsuit, you will find yourself automatically liable. A judgment gives the debt collector more collection rights than they have without a court order. With an execution judgment, the collector can get the sheriff to take some of your property. They cannot put you in jail, but they can make your life pretty miserable. Statutes of limitation. This is the period of time in which the lender has to sue you for the collection of the debt. It varies from state to state. It varies based on the type of debt, for example, written, oral contract, promissory notes, etc. It doesn't mean the debt disappears. Bill collectors. Businesses and individuals do whatever they can within the law to collect money that is owed to them. They can write letters requesting payment. They can make telephone calls. They will even go to court. There are two kinds of bill collectors. Some businesses have staff whose job it is to collect what they can from people who owe the money to the company. and other creditors engage the services of a third-party private collection agency. A third-party debt collector can sue you in court where you live or where you signed the contract that created the debt. Within 5 days of the collector's first contact with you, you will receive a written notice which should tell you the amount of the debt, the name of the person or business to whom you owe the debt, that you have the right to dispute or contest any and all of the debt within 30 days of the receipt of the letter, that you have the right to get written proof of the debt from the debt collector. You have to ask them in writing for the proof within those same 30 days. You also have the right to get the name and address of the original creditor, if different from the current one. You must ask for it in writing within those same 30 days. A third-party debt collector must limit its communications about you with other people. They may contact other people to try and locate you, but they may not discuss that you owe a debt. The third-party debt collector must apply any payments on a debt according to your instructions. You will need to send any instructions to the debt collector in writing, certified mail, return receipt so that you have proof. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act was passed by Congress in 1978. Only third-party collectors employed by collection agencies are covered by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It was passed to stop third-party debt collectors from using unfair, abusive, or deceptive means to collect debt. It requires debt collectors to supply certain information to the consumer. If a collector treats a consumer in a manner that's abusive, deceitful, or otherwise illegal, the consumer may be able to take the collector to court. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act does not apply to primary creditors, although many of them have adopted the same rules as their company policy. Third-party debt collectors cannot call late at night or early in the morning, call you if they know you have an attorney. They must communicate with the attorney directly. They cannot call you at work if the debt collector knows that your employer prohibits such calls. Use or threaten violence or harm to your family, reputation, or property. Use offensive or abusive language. Publish or threaten to publish lists of debtors. Say things about the amount or legal status of any debt that are not true. Try to collect any money that's not legally owed. Threaten to put you in jail for failure to pay. Threaten to take any of your wages, income, or property unless action threatened is lawful and the debt collector intends to take that action. Falsely claim to be an attorney. Use false or misleading information. Use any papers that look like they were made by a court or government office. Charge amounts including interest or fees unless the law or contract allows for it. Send a consumer a postcard or envelope that shows to other people it is a debt collection. Use any harassing, abusive, or deceitful means to collect a debt. When dealing with a creditor, if you're dealing with a creditor, be honest. If you dispute the debt, say so. If you owe it, you can admit to that too. If you're willing to work out a payment plan, work it out. Don't let a collector pressure you into making any promises that you cannot keep. Don't hide. Don't try to avoid the inevitable. Be above board in your dealings with the collector. Make an attempt to work things out. How to stop a debt collector from calling you. They must stop communication with you when you write them and tell them to stop. Telling them over the phone is just not enough. At this point, they may decide to take you to court. If you're sued by a debt collector, you need to learn about your rights and responsibility to defend yourself in court. Answer the phone. Answer the telephone when a bill collector calls. If you're not at home and they leave a number, call them back. Ignoring the problem will not make it go away. If they cannot reach you, they will not be very sympathetic to your problem. Your repayment plan. Get in touch with your creditor. Present a detailed plan of how you intend to deal with the problem. Be very specific. Be prepared to make a payment right then. It shows good faith. Some options that you might ask them to consider: Deferring your payment for a month or two, adding what you owe to the end of the loan, rescheduling your debt, stretching out the term in exchange for smaller monthly payments, resetting the monthly payment date to be more convenient. Ask for time to sell the property so you can repay what you owe. Ask them to stop the interest and late charges while you work things out. Ask them to allow you to pay only interest on the debt for the next month or more. Ask them for suggestions, but only after you've offered some of your own. Getting help. Feeling overwhelmed and not knowing where to start is not a sign of weakness. Help is available, and not just for those who are behind in their bills. A financial counselor or coach can offer an objective perspective. Different counseling agencies operate in different ways. There are nonprofit agencies like ourselves. There are for-profit agencies. And ask what they offer. Do they offer education, help with developing a budget, a debt management program, a quick fix, or a long-term solution? You want somebody who will help you work within a revised budget, has some clout with your creditors. No debt is too little, no debt is too great when it comes to seeking help. Financial counselors can offer both ideas and education. So what are your options? You have an obligation to pay back money borrowed if you can, even if it's been charged off by the original creditor. Your options may include consolidation loans, refinancing, debt settlement, debt management programs, and bankruptcy. Consolidation loans. Pros. Only have one payment a month. Interest rate may be lower than what you currently have, and it might ease strain on the budget. Cons. Many lenders will not make these loans. Can usually only consolidate small amounts. Overall cost of the debt may increase. Not a good idea if you have spending issues. Refinancing. Pros. May be able to reduce term of the loan and secure better interest rate. Potential for big savings. You may be able to draw money out if you have equity to use for other things. Cons. Loan fees can be costly. Could be turning unsecured debt into secured debt. It may be hard to do if you're upside down on a loan or struggling with other debts. Debt settlement. Pros. You pay off your debts faster and with lesser balance. Monthly payments on settlement program can be lower than on a debt management program. You can start rebuilding your credit faster. Cons. It can have a negative impact on your credit in the short term. Forgiven debt can have tax consequences. Debt management programs. Pros. One monthly payment. Creditors will often reduce interest rates, waive fees, and re-age accounts. The balance will be paid off in full. Stops collection calls. Will not negatively impact credit. Cons. The accounts will be closed, and it can take a little longer than the debt settlement process. The payments are often a little higher than with settlement. Bankruptcy. Pros. It can enable you to start with a clean slate. Cons. It can affect your credit report for 7 to 10 years, possibly longer in the case of certain loans. It's a matter of public record. You can lose assets. It can be a costly process both financially and emotionally. Beware of credit firms. Beware of sketchy credit repair promises. They offer shortcuts to reestablishing credit, promise to erase negative information. They often encourage illegal activities such as bombarding credit bureaus with disputes and applying for taxpayer ID numbers. They are not doing anything for you legally that you can't do for yourself for free. The better option would be a nonprofit credit counseling agency. Fair Credit Reporting Act. It governs what can be reported about you in your credit file and for how long. The FCRA gives you the right to dispute incorrect information. You can use the complaint form that comes with the report. You can send copies of documentation if needed, and credit bureaus must generally respond within 30 days and correct errors. The source of the error, whether it be from the bank or a credit card, must correct it at all credit bureaus sent the wrong information. Saving strategies. Try to get your next haircut or manicure from a beauty school where prices are very low and students are supervised. Try bartering with friends, family, coworkers for services such as babysitting in exchange for fixing a car, etc. Reevaluate services such as your phone, cable, internet, insurance. Avoid paying unnecessary bank fees for using out of network ATMs or making costly overdrafts. What magazines or newspapers do you subscribe to? Do you read those magazines and newspapers? What about adjusting the deductibles on your insurance policies? Carry only small amounts of cash in your wallet so you won't spend it. Use direct deposit. You'll be less likely to spend money if it goes straight into your account. Control your use of credit cards. Cut them up if you need to. Don't go shopping just for fun. Have a purpose and a list. Take your written savings goal with you as a reminder. Buy what you need. Don't buy things just because they're on sale. Questions, comments, concerns? Call us at 877-202-9246 or visit us on our website at www.yourgfm.org. Thank you for viewing this video. We hope to have helped you in some way.